It's time to bench Geno Smith and start Kenny Pickett. The Raiders might as well trade for Shedeur Sanders, fire Pete Carroll, and the season is officially over again. These are all the things that I've heard in the past 24 hours since the Raiders got their asses handed to them 40-6 against the Indianapolis Colts. So today I'm going to be going over some of the biggest takeaways and overreactions to the Raiders loss on Sunday and give you guys my thoughts on it. But as always, if this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love Raiders content just like this, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon button. That being said, let's get right into it. Geno Smith is not that guy. Now, it's starting to feel like deja vu for the Raiders. Geno Smith just couldn't get it going against the Colts, and his mistakes came at the worst times. Early on in the game, the Raiders were knocking on the door, 2nd and goal from the 3, and instead of throwing it away, Geno takes a 11-yard sack. Boom, drive killed. They ended up having to settle for a field goal, which, I wasn't too mad about. At the time, I didn't think that we were going to go scoreless for a very long time, but, it is what it is. Now, on the next trip to the red zone, down 14-3, Geno fires a low pass and gets tipped and picked off. Another huge missed opportunity. Then later in the third, another interception, and the Colts turned that into points, making it 32-3. Basically, game over. Like I said, this is a story that we've heard quite a lot this season. Geno Smith just continuing to turn the ball over. It was one thing that I had going into this game. One of the biggest keys was to play a clean game of football, and Geno did not do that in this game. Now, Geno got to speak after the game and explain his interceptions and the turnovers and even the game overall.
I mean, you saw the first one. The ball got tipped up in the air. It was a guy wide open in the back of the end zone. It's been a touchdown. I saw 2 or 3 of their balls get tipped up in the air, and that, it's just, you got to go through the process, man. Like, again, the result is what the result was, and we hate it, and I hate it the most. But, again, the process is what I'm focused on. I feel like I did the right thing on that play. I threw it to the open guy, and it wasn't the result that I wanted. Well, am I going to say, well, don't read it the same way, don't throw it to the open guy? No, I'm going to throw it to the open guy. And 9 times out of 10, hopefully it's a touchdown. That one time it was tipped in the air and was an interception. The other one is a classic zone coverage. They're blitzing off the slot, playing cover 2. We got, a option route. God knows he's got to push up and sit. He's got to be quick. I mean, this is the NFL. Again, I got a rookie receiver. We got to develop him. We got to learn. And it's not Dante's fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's life. And so what I'm doing here is I'm learning a lot, through these experiences. And as I go through life, I really enjoy that part of it, is that the experiences are what's going to make me better. So somewhere down the line, we're going to look back at this and say, those moments made us better. This is the big boy leagues. This is the NFL. It's the best of the best. And you got to go out there and you got to get it done. And like I said, until we figure that out, we're going to have the same results.
Now, I don't know who he's trying to fool out there, but anybody with a set of eyes can see what he's been doing with this team. Yeah, there's been a couple of interceptions and turnovers that doesn't really fall on him, but majority of it does fall on him. And just seeing how bad he's been looking, I just don't know how you can explain that. Then again, Geno tried to explain it and basically told us to just trust the process.
It's a process, man. Like, I've seen this so many times. I remember when Jared Goff, it doesn't matter, but I remember when he went to the Lions and that whole process, man, this is a process. It's process driven. And a lot of time people focus on the results, but you can have good results sometimes with a bad process and it'll catch up to you. And so we got to tighten down our process, and then the results that we want, they'll be there. But it's a process-driven game, and you got to focus on the process.
I mean, I don't know if he's new to this or not, but you're trying to tell the Raidernation to have a little bit of patience for the process. I mean, this is a fan base. Heck, I'm a part of this fan base. We've been trusting the process for 20+ years, and we've been seeing the same exact thing. I don't know what else he has to say, what explanation he's been trying to say out there, but we see what you've been doing out there. We've seen how bad it's been looking. I mean, I don't know how he's doing it, but he seems like he's looking even worse than the last quarterbacks that we had over here in the silver and black. See, I do want to believe him, and I hear everything that he's trying to say. But until he goes out there and proves it, instead of talking about it, nobody's going to believe him. And that's why a lot of Raider Nation is really frustrated with him. I mean, he's been looking like the Geno Smith from the New York Jets, from the LA Chargers, from the New York Giants. He's not looking like that Seattle Seahawks Geno Smith. I mean, a lot of us Raider fans had more expectations on Geno Smith just for the simple fact that he did real well over there in Seattle under Pete Carroll. The fact that he's over here in the silver and black and looking even worse, It's crazy to me. And I didn't expect this at all. I don't think the Raidernation expected it as well. So instead of just talking about it and saying that this is a whole process, I know Rome wasn't built in just one day. I know that we can't just keep firing and hiring different coaches and regimes and thinking that everything's going to turn around in one season. But damn, the way you've been playing ain't much better than what we've seen from Gardner Minshew, Jimmy G, heck, even AOC. Like I said in yesterday's video, you're getting paid the big bucks to come over here and put this team on your back. There should be no reason, no excuses for him to go out there and look as bad as he's been looking. I can't fault this on the run game. I can't fault this on the offensive line. This comes down to you, Geno Smith, the leader of this team, the leader of the offensive side of the ball. So if there's anybody on this team that needs to do a better job, it starts with you, Geno Smith. And if not, then we got to look somewhere else, which goes into my next bit of overreaction is start Kenny Pickett. It's about that time. Now, just adding on to Geno Smith and how bad he's been playing. He's been bad for at least 3 to 4 games out of the 5 games that we played so far this season. Multiple turnovers. Now he has 9 interceptions on the year. Multiple games with multiple interceptions. He's been killing drives. It's not the fact that he's turning over the ball. It's the time in which he's doing it. It comes at the worst times, especially when this team is trying to compete with opposing teams. I know I've stated before that, once the Raiders move on from Geno Smith and they start Kenny Pickett, they're giving up on a season. But damn, seeing how bad he's played, especially in this last game, I think was the last straw for me. And at this point, I don't think it would even hurt to put Kenny Pickett out there and just see what he can do. Now, I'm not expecting anything crazy, but if he could at least play a cleaner game of football, then, that's the least we can ask out of a quarterback. I've said this before. Our expectations at quarterback is not that high. It's not that high. We haven't had any good quarterbacks in quite some time. So as long as they go out there and just continue to keep the chains moving, don't cause any turnovers, you should be okay. You should be fine. But the momentum continues to shift every time he continues to turn the ball over. This would have been a different game had Geno Smith not thrown that interception when we were marching into the red zone. But even after all of that, Pete Carroll was asked about Kenny Pickett possibly starting or even getting some playing time, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, I was thinking that, if there was a reason to do that, but here's the reason why I didn't do that. We need to stay out there and keep practicing. We need to keep practicing. We need the reps. We need the turns. We need to run the system. We need to feel it. We need to see the guys get their opportunities to improve. It's not like a big change. I thought about it, because there was a chance to do that. It's the same thing with Max. I was going to get Max out of there, and I'm fighting with him. He wants to play. That's not what's necessary. We need to get better and get right. So these are the games that we're working on, and these are the games we have to learn from and grow from so that we can change the course of the way things are going. And there's nobody in there that doesn't feel like that. And so, we're going to go right back at it again.
Come on, Pete. It's getting real hard to defend you at this point. I feel like his ego right now is he doesn't want to be wrong about anything. There was no reason to keep Geno Smith out there in the end of the game. You might as well have put Kenny Pickett out there. And if you're talking about practicing, why wasn't Ashton Jeanty out there, right? Why wasn't he out there practicing with the rest of the starting unit? It's because you didn't want anything to happen to Ashton. Plus, it was useless at that point to even keep him in the game. So your point is invalid right now. And I think it's just time to see what Kenny Pickett has. Now, speaking of the quarterback position, the next big overreaction is the Raiders should trade for Shedeur Sanders. Now, of course, you guys know how I feel about Shedeur Sanders. We don't know whether or not he'd be the answer for this team, but he's a guy that I really wanted to take a chance on in the draft, especially when it came down to the 2nd, the 3rd, maybe even the 4th round. At that point, it's a win-win situation for the Raiders. But of course, I don't think the Raiders really wanted him. Now, this whole situation was brought up even more after the game when diehard Raiders fan Damian Lillard tweeted this out saying, time to go ahead and trade for Shedeur Sanders. Shaking my effing head. Now, somebody did comment saying that Geno never learns, he's washed. And Damian Lillard also replied to that saying that he's not washed, he's just turning the ball over. But it's time to get Shedeur on the team and get ready for the future. Any other Raider fan out there would feel the same exact way. Like I said before, I don't think that Geno is really as bad as he's been playing. He's just been playing bad as of late, and the Raiders need to make some type of change. Would I want Shedeur Sanders on this team? Hell yeah. Do I think that it'll happen? Hell no. I don't think that there's any chance that the Raiders make that move. I think it's just something that us Raider fans want to see. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, they want to see something different. They want to see a young quarterback. And that's why a lot of us fans go right back to the NFL draft. If you're going to continue to preach competition, why didn't you bring in a guy that you could have drafted to compete with Geno Smith? It's because they already crowned Geno Smith as that guy, which continues to bite him in the ass right now because we don't have a backup that could compete with him. I mean, we have Kenny Pickett, who of course we're all clamoring for, but you don't have the future on the team just yet. Maybe Cam Miller could be that guy, but we don't know. So even though I would love to see Shedeur on this team, it's not going to happen. There's no way in hell the Raiders make it happen. If they do, then I don't know. I'd go crazy. But what do you think, Raider Nation? I want to ask you that question. Would you trade for Shedeur Sanders if it was possible? Or would you guys just stick with what we have right now and just look into next year's draft to hopefully draft the quarterback high? Let me know down in the comments below. But before we continue to dive deeper into these overreactions, I want to talk about my bookie, because if this season has taught us anything, is that we never know what's coming next. Whether you're betting on the Raiders to bounce back next week, taking a wild parlay, or just testing your football knowledge, my bookie makes it easy to get in on the action. And the best part is they've got everything from the NFL to college football, live lines, super contests, and much more, all in one spot. So if you're new to my bookie, make sure you use my promo code Samoan, and any bet that you place up to $500 is fully covered when you opt in for your bet back bonus token. Instead of reacting to Sunday's madness, put your football knowledge to work. Head over to my bookie where you bet, you win, and you get paid. That said, let's get right back into some of these overreactions. The next one being the special teams is trash. Now, it's crazy to think that the special teams has been bad this year. I mean, this is a unit that's always been pretty solid. I mean, our kickers, our punters have always been automatic, but this year just seems a little different. Midway through the second quarter, we have a blocked punt. Indy takes over at the 8 and the score goes up 14-3. That's now 3 blocked punts this season, the most in the NFL. And that's not it. Last week against the Bears, we had a blocked field goal that could have sealed the victory for us. The week before that, we had a 90-yard return touchdown and also a 61-yard return touchdown on us. And in this game, we had a 98-yard return that got called back to a flag. Thank you to the football gods. But to see all these big plays that we've given up on special teams have been biting the Raiders in the ass. And it continues to put the Raiders in bad positions, changing the momentum of multiple games. So until the Raiders can clean up the special teams, they're going to continue to beat themselves up, not just the opponents. We've seen AJ Cole go down. We've seen Daniel Call struggling so far this year. They've got to clean their act up, and that starts up top with our special teams coordinator, Tom McMahon. The Raiders now are sitting at 1-4, and it's been frustrating. And can we say that the season is over? Heck, it feels like it's over, because from what we've seen from these 4 straight losses, it seems like this team doesn't have it together. It seems like we still have a question at quarterback. It still feels like we have no answers on the defensive side of the ball. We continue to look bad on special teams. We're getting out coached out there. It seems like we just can't compete. We can't put 4 quarters of football together. We can't win games. We can't execute. Nothing seems to go right. So that's why I feel like the season does feel like it's over. And right now, Raider fans are looking at mock drafts right now, seeing who we can get. Now, I know that we still got a long way to go, but it's hard to stay optimistic with this team. I don't know if there's anything else that the Raiders can say right now that could give any Raider fans some hope other than just going out there and showing it. But even at that, it sucks that we continue to have false hope every single week, every single year. So to that point, do I feel like the season is over? It sure does feel like it. But Raider Nation, let me know your thoughts on this team, on some of the biggest overreaction. What is your biggest takeaway from this game? And are you worried with the team that we have right now? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next video, just your boy, some more Raider, and your boys. Yeah.